Hey guys, so today's video is a request as usual. This is from Jason G, so thank you for the request, Jason. I still do have a Zodiac video coming that is technically my next request, but I mentioned in my last video, well, the video before last, that it's a lot of research and it's taking me a long time, so it's probably going to be a little while before that one's up, and it's probably going to be more than one part because it's so long. This one, however, is about the music video for Soul Asylum's Runaway Train. Now, all of the credit to this video is going to go to a certain Redditor by the name of the Plow King. When actually doing research for this video, he did a two-part Reddit thing on an update of what happened to the kids in the video, and I'll explain that a little more in a second. And all of the research I did really was just backing up his information, really. So if you guys are interested in actually reading it, I'm going to link his pages below where he put these. So Soul Asylum released a music video in 1993 for their hit song Runaway Train, and there are several different versions of the music video. In the US version, it opens with the text reading, "There are over 1 million youth lost in the streets of America." And on the UK version, it reads, 100,000 youth are lost on the streets of Britain. And there were 3 original versions of the video in the US, totaling 36 missing children throughout the 3 different videos. So it highlighted these missing kids in hopes of bringing a higher profile to their cases, in hopes that they would be found and brought home. The children shown varied based on where the music video was shown, so what region or area it was in the US. If that was the region or area that those children were closest to when they went missing, that's the video that was shown. Now, Tony Kaye, the director of the music video, has stated since that 26 children of the 36 missing children have returned home since the video aired. So the request for this from Jason G was the update on the kids, so I'm going to go through that. I'm just going to hit them back to back because there's 36 of them, so there's going to be a lot, and I don't want this video to be too long. I do want it to be long because I kind of screwed you guys over in the past few weeks, so I'm sorry about that. But this is probably going to be long unless I can read through these quickly. I'm going to start with cases that were resolved. Vicki Hamilton and Dinah McNichol both went missing in 1991. Their remains were found in 2007 at a house in Margate belonging to a Peter Tobin, who is often believed to be a Bible John. He has since been convicted of both murders and is serving 3 life sentences with a whole life order, they called it, for 3 murders committed between 1991 and 2006. The next resolved case is Curtis Hunsinger. He went missing as a 14-year-old in 1990 when he was last seen walking home from his sister's house. It was initially believed that Hunsinger, because he had a troubled past in school and a recent run-in with the law, that he had run away from home. Sadly, his remains were found in 2008 in a shallow grave on the outskirts of Blue Lake. His convicted killer, Stephen Daniel Hash, is currently serving a sentence of 11 years for manslaughter. Now, something interesting about this, the Redditor noted that in April of 1999, during a confrontation with Hunsinger's mother, Hash, who was a family acquaintance, admitted to killing Hunsinger and even took the mother to the burial site. But my guess is they weren't dug up until 2008. The next resolved case is Elizabeth Wiles. She left her home at 13 in Lamar, Arkansas. She and her boyfriend hitchhiked to California, where she and her family had lived before moving to Arkansas. They were in California for 2 years when they saw the music video, and after a week's hesitation, they contacted her mother and returned home. Now, the version shown in Australia showed a number of young backpacking tourists whose families were looking for them. Several of them turned out to be victims of Ivan Milat, whose bodies were discovered in Belonglo State Forest in New South Wales, Australia. The next resolved case was Michelle Ann Farley, who was found alive shortly after the release of the video. Soul Asylum's guitarist Dan Murphy stated in an interview that Michelle met with the band, and she stated that the band ruined her life because she saw herself in the video at her boyfriend's house, which led to her being forced back into an abusive home situation which she had willingly escaped. The next resolved case, and this is the final actually resolved case. There are some gray areas we'll go across with other cases, but the next one is Samantha Therese Knight. She went missing on August 19th of 1986 from Bondi, Sydney, Australia. 16 years later, Michael Guider, who was in prison serving 16 years for sexually abusing 11 children in Sydney, admitted to another prisoner that he had snatched Knight from Bondi and drugged her. He had planned to take photos of her, but when he returned from the store, she was dead on his couch. He panicked and he buried her body somewhere before moving it later on. He eventually pleaded to manslaughter and has yet to reveal the location of her body. Next, we're going to touch on the unresolved cases, the first of which being Christopher Kurz. He is a missing American man last seen in April of 1990 from Eagan, Minnesota, whose story has been covered a few times on Reddit. Kurz had stayed home from school, noting that he was unwell. And when his parents returned home, they found both Kurz and their 1988 Dodge Caravan missing. A note presumably written by Kurz was found in the kitchen stating that he would be back by 6 p.m. unless he got lost. And notably, the word lost was underlined. He is currently still missing and is classified as an endangered runaway. The next unresolved case is Martha West Dunn, who went missing from Daingerfield, Texas in 1990 at the age of 15. It is known that the night before her disappearance, she had spoken with her boyfriend in relation to an argument she had with her parents concerning her moving home to Texas from Oklahoma, where she had been living with relatives. The next day, she and her boyfriend were gone. Several unconfirmed sightings of the two have been made in Oklahoma. However, one theory explored by police is that they were both kidnapped by a drug dealer, as Dunn's boyfriend was allegedly involved with drugs. The next unresolved case, and forgive me if I keep looking down, but this is far too much information to memorize or take my time reading off one at a time, so I'm trying to just read through them as best I can. The next unresolved case is Andrea Durham, who went missing from Fort Walton Beach, Florida in 1990 at age 13. Andrea was vacuuming the apartment at the Royal Apartments while her mother and sister left the home. When they returned, they found the door to the apartment unlocked and the vacuum in the middle of the floor, and Andrea was gone. The next unresolved is Wilda Mae Benoit, and she was last seen at her family's residence in Creole, Louisiana on July 23rd of 1992. Her case was reclassified from a runaway to endangered missing in 2005. Byron Eric Page went missing on the 29th of January in 1992 from Los Angeles, California. He was last seen at a bus stop at Overhill and Slauson Streets and was planning to visit a music warehouse and video store 20 miles away in West Hollywood. Byron never arrived home and has been missing since. Employees at the store do not recall him being there that day, and he was a regular at the store and knew the staff. Now, this one I may pronounce wrong, so I apologize for that. It looks like Anek Nicolette Adrianson. She went missing on the 12th of January in 1979 with her fiance Alan Fox, who is also missing. They were last seen in Byron Bay. The two were known to be hitchhiking at the time, and after 27 years, a coroner and a coronial inquest declared them both legally dead. However, their bodies have never been found. Elizabeth Herfert was seen last on June 13th of 1980, leaving the Australian National University Bar in Canberra, Australia. A person matching her description was seen hitchhiking on the southbound carriageway leading to Commonwealth Avenue in Canberra. It is believed that the same person was given a lift in a motor vehicle along Commonwealth Avenue to the intersection of Coronation Drive in Canberra. She has not been seen since. Kevin Hicks went missing on March the 2nd of 1986, and he was 16 years old at the time, from Croydon, South London. He told his parents that he was going to the local shop to buy some eggs for a home economics exam and left at 8:30 p.m. At 10 p.m., a witness who knew Kevin saw him headed in the general direction of his house. Apparently the store was only a 10-minute walk from his house. However, this sighting of Kevin is 1.5 hours after he left. And this is the last confirmed sighting of him. The CCTV in the shop was not working at the time, and staff told police they do not remember him visiting the shop that night. On October 25th of 1996, a man called the local paper claiming that Hicks was dead and that he knew where his body was buried. Police were unable to trace the call, and nothing eventuated from this lead. Lee Boxall is an English schoolboy who went missing on the 10th of September in 1988 at the age of 15 between Sutton High Street and Selhurst Park Football Stadium in London, England. On the day of his disappearance, Lee met with a friend to window shop before parting company, with Lee saying that he would be attending a football match later on that day. It was the last confirmed sighting of Lee. In 2012, a witness stated that Lee would occasionally attend an unofficial youth club in the annex of St. Dunstan's Church, known as The Shed. And following extensive inquiries, police discovered that pedophiles were operating in the area at the time Lee disappeared. And the last unresolved that we have a little bit of information on is Louise Kay, who has been missing since 1988 at the age of 18, when she was last seen dropping off a friend in her dad's distinctive gold Ford Fiesta with one white door after a night out in Sussex. Police have suspected Peter Tobin in her disappearance, as he was living nearby at the time. Having said that, Tobin was charged with the murders of Dinah McNichol and Vicki Hamilton, who we mentioned earlier. Search teams spent 2 weeks excavating the areas around Tobin's home, with no evidence or links to Kay's disappearance being found. Now, we have a few cases here that you could sort of call gray area cases, where we have sort of different conclusions to each one, so I'll go over those next. Featured in the UK version was Mark Bartley, a runaway who went missing in 1992. He was recognized in the video by a man who knew Bartley was staying in the tenant's house below them, but was unaware of his missing status. By the time the police arrived, Bartley and the man he was living with were gone. His whereabouts are currently unknown. This case seems to be on face value anyway, a case of a runaway who does not want to be found. The next one is Thomas Dean Gibson, who disappeared from Glendale, Oregon in 1992 at the age of 2 and is still missing. His father, Larry Gibson, who was a former deputy sheriff, was convicted of second-degree manslaughter for accidentally shooting his son to death when he shot at a stray cat in his front yard, even though no remains were found. He steadfastly denies killing his son and has worked on finding him since being released from prison in 1996. Ben Needham, who was a British child from Sheffield, went missing on the 24th of July 1991 at 21 months old from the Greek island of Kos. Comparisons have been made between Ben and the well-publicized disappearance of Madeleine McCann, both of whom have never been found. All searches have failed to locate Ben, and it was believed that he has been kidnapped. There were some sightings of people who at older ages looked like Ben, but police were able to confirm that it was not Ben. However, in September of 2016, police learned from a man from Kos, a digger operator there who is now deceased, had told him that Ben died in an accident, having been run over by this digger operator who was operating a heavy vehicle in a construction site, and that he had hidden the body in building waste. Police began an excavation search in July of 2017 and announced that traces of blood were found on a fragment of a sandal, as well as on soil from inside a toy car, both items believed to belong to Ben. The next one is Nicola Payne, who went missing on December 14th in 1991 from Coventry, England. Payne was on her way to her parents' house from her home and had a 6-month-old son at the time of her disappearance. Police have ruled out Peter Tobin as a suspect in her disappearance, and in 2016, 2 men, Nigel Barwell and his brother-in-law, Thomas O'Reilly, were found not guilty of her murder. On the afternoon of December 14th, a woman named Louise Sambrook reported to the police that she looked out of a window and saw Barwell's car near a path leading to a river. She claimed that standing on either side of the car were Nigel Barwell and Thomas O'Reilly, and they were removing a large black bag from the trunk of the car. Now, 5 days after Payne disappeared, a tent was discovered in an undergrowth in Barnell's garden, and in 2014, when the tent was re-examined, Hairs found in the tent were sent in for analysis, and due to improved scientific techniques, they were able to link the hairs to pain. Unfortunately, the hair analysis was discounted in court. Detectives had lost key pieces of evidence, such as Payne's hairbrush. So they might have thought that the hair came from her hairbrush and it was planted or something. Further, the tent was incorrectly handled, as it was not logged for 1 month and then stored for years in an unsealed bag. So it was impossible to prove that there was no cross-contamination. And finally, we have cases that have little to no information on them. These are mostly just names and the dates that they went missing, so I'll quickly read through those. Andrew David Robinson, who went missing on the 14th of March in 1989 at age 29 from New South Wales, Australia. He left home on foot, telling his wife that he was going to a friend's house, and he has not been seen since. Andy Gooch, who went missing in 1992. Berenice Espinoza, who went missing in 1992. Billy Bennett, who went missing in 1985. Christina Ann Wood, who went missing December 2nd, 1991 from Live Oak, Florida at age 15. Wood has a tattoo of a heart on her left ankle and a 3-inch scar on her upper leg, and is believed to be in the company of an adult male companion. Christina Herman went missing in 1993. Darlene Michelle Hungerford went missing in 1991. Emily Tamara Poyce went missing in 1992. Eleanor Isaiah went missing in 1992. Ginger Sue Hudson, according to the video, was last seen in 1992. Heather Lee Yeagle, who went missing on the 7th of February in 1990 from Largo, Florida at the age of 16. Hassan Hua Hong, who I believe was known as Sharon, who went missing in 1992. Mark Garvey, who went missing on March 2nd of 1987 at the age of 15 from Bootle, Merseyside, following an argument with his girlfriend. He told his girlfriend after the argument that he was going to the bus stop, which was the last time that he had been. Jeffrey Peter Heiner, who went missing in 1984. Kyle Wade Ducker, who went missing in 1993. Ryan Keene Cofield, who went missing in 1991. Simon Darby, who went missing in 1989. Susan Calam, missing in 1993. Tavanti Pyrus, who went missing from Castle Hill, Sydney, Australia on July 26th, 1990 at age 2. Tristan Spencer, who went missing in 1993. And lastly, Warren Long, who went missing from Des Moines, Sydney, Australia on the 15th of March in 1993 at the age of 20. He was last seen leaving his place of work. It is noted that his car and a brief note were found at Watson's Bay by his friends on March 17th of 1993. However, the Redditor could not find confirmation of that note. So that is the update on the children from the Runaway Train video. Again, I want to shout out the Redditor who did most of all this work really for it, who was the Plow King. I will link his articles below so that you can actually go to his source and check out his sources on it, where he found the information, everything. Again, thank you Jason G for the request. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any suggestions for videos, true crime or otherwise, please leave those in the comments below. If you'd like to see more videos, please hit the subscribe button. I upload new videos every Wednesday. And other than that, I will see you guys next week.